Alright, so hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're gonna pour some Riven juice into one of my all-time favorite primary weapons, the one, the only Braton Prime. So, the story behind this one is that I received a really cool Braton Riven from Mr. Sortie as a gift, so thank you very much once again, my good man, you are awesome. Now, at first I thought I would just use the Riven as it was given to me because it would let me do something really cool with the Braton, but then I realized I have about 50,000 kuva, so I tried rolling something similar that would still allow me to do the thing, but also have some extra damage on top of it. Now, I did end up sinking all of my kuva into it, so all 50,000, and the mod roll I ended up keeping was the one I got the first time around, so I could have saved myself a lot of kuva, but I just wanted to see what I can get out of this. I did get some interesting rolls along the way, and some of them were probably stronger, like a lot stronger than the one I ended up keeping, but I specifically wanted to get a high status one, and I just happened to get multi-shot on the side as well. I still think it was worth all the extra kuva, because as I've said, I really like the Braton, and I wanted to pump it up just a little bit so that I can take it essentially anywhere, even into sorties and stuff. And I think that's enough rolling for now, so here's the setup I ended up with, and it's really cool because it's a hybrid that has crit, status, and 90% elemental mods, which is very uncommon. We're running Serration for damage, Split Jumper for multi-shot, Point Strike and Argent Scope for crit chance, and this gives you just enough crit on a headshot to actually make it worth going for crit. Then we have Vital Sense for crit damage, followed by Infected Clip and Stormbringer for corrosive damage. And finally, we have the Riven, Braton Satidex, which adds a ton of status chance and multi-shot at the cost of some magazine capacity, which on the Braton Prime isn't that big of a deal because you have a pretty big magazine. And this, aside from adding a ton of damage via the multi-shot, also adds more status chance than if I were to put on 3 dual stat mods. And it also allows me to narrow down the types of status I'm going to proc, so I don't have like heat getting in the way. Now, I did try all the different elemental combinations, that's why I didn't go for 2 dashes on the build, it's just so that I can put in cryo rounds if I want to for viral, and corrosive just felt the best. At first I thought viral and slash would be the way to go, but the damage on the Braton isn't that high, so even on a crit headshots the slash procs weren't that great. And on top of that, corrosive also benefits heavily from the amount of multi-shot that we have here, because you can strip away a lot of armor with a single pull of the trigger. Now, the damage is still not like amazing, you know, Tigris Prime level of amazing, where you just kaboom the enemy into a pile of jam, but it bumps the weapon up just enough to where you can take it into a sortie and not feel like you're using a pea shooter against the Grenier, Infested and Corrupted, that is at least. Versus the Corpus, it still struggles versus the high tier, high level units, like techs and stuff. But that for me personally isn't actually that big of a deal because the Corpus are by far my least favorite faction to fight, so I usually take something busted with me so I can just delete them and get it over with. So here we have, I almost had a real life demonstration, no, don't do that, shooting people in real life is bad, okay, an in-game demonstration of a sortie, and a particularly nasty sortie as well because the enemies have augmented armor. Which, while not as bad as the physical enhancement sortie, where the enemies basically take no physical damage whatsoever, is still not the best because 1/3 of our damage is physical here. So even though the enemies are between levels 50 and 60, they are beefier than what they would normally be. And for me personally, the performance is more than good enough, right? I'm not a massive fan of just deleting everything on the screen with a single click. It's fun to do every now and then, but it just becomes boring if it's all you do, so I'm happy with this kind of performance. Now, the ideal situation here would of course be to keep rolling the Riven and hopefully get the same stats, which would be status chance and multi-shot, but also get either crit chance to make the crits more reliable or a ton of crit damage to make them hurt a lot more with once again an irrelevant negative, like something with zoom or minus magazine capacity like I got here. Or you can go the complete opposite route and just go for a really fat crit Riven with something like multi-shot and once again an irrelevant negative like minus magazine capacity and compensate for the lost status with dual stat mods. This is why I really like Rivens, especially for setups like this, because I can play around with different stats and try to make them work in different ways rather than just using the same build for years on a fatter and a fatter and a fatter weapon. But anyway, I think I've been rambling for long enough, so once again, if you get yourself a Braton Riven, don't throw it away right away, just give it a couple of rolls and maybe you'll end up with something quite spicy that can actually take you through sorties. And as always, I thank you very much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.